Yes, hello everybody. It's your boy, Eduardo Jackson, CEO, founder, creator of the Cinema Draft game, coming at you with just the shot list. This is a solo pod. This is a no notes pod. We're going off the top of the dome. I did not write an outline. This is fairly unstructured, but we're going to get to the heart of what everyone loves most about these podcasts, which is the strategy of the game, what we're looking forward to, what our picks are for the weekend, and also I'm going to do some live construction of a call sheet so we can try to stumble through together what might be the optimal strategy for this weekend. Also, yeah, as you can tell, even though I'm not sick anymore, the last thing to recover is my voice, so please bear with me. And also, for whatever reason, there seems to be some construction going on next door. Awesome. So please pardon any audio difficulties we may have with this podcast. Also, before we really get started in the strategy portion, just want to go over some of the stuff that I've been watching, because as we know, it's one of my favorite parts of the full length pod. We should have some guests coming up throughout this month to liven things up, so it's not just me talking your ear off. And one of the things that I'm most interested in watching recently, of course, is Billions. It is back. It is better than ever. I'm loving it. Great cast, great season this year. The season seems to be focusing around a proxy war between Damian Lewis's Bobby Axelrod and Paul Giamatti's Chuck Rhodes. Bobby Axelrod is paranoid as ever and is gunning for Rhodes, but he can't take him on directly, so he's somewhat ideologically financing a war between a Goldman Sachs stand-in, or head of a Goldman Sachs stand-in, Eric Bogosian, as what's this dude's name? Eric Bogosian's I forget the name of the guy. Anyways, Eric Bogosian plays a guy who's supposed to be super clean, who's being targeted by Chuck Rhodes, is like an impossible guy to bring down because he's so clean, but yet Rhodes is gunning for him anyways, and Damian Lewis is giving him, quote unquote, his playbook to take him on. And also, like most great empires, he's fighting a war on two fronts. He has, oh wow, that banging is just killing me. Okay, hopefully you guys aren't hearing any of that. This guy's like carpentering next door. It's really killing me. Also, Damian Lewis's Bobby Axelrod's taking on a nemesis of his, played by Danny Strong. Oh gosh, what's his name? I can't remember names for the life of me today. But anyway, Danny Strong, he's actually, little known fact, he's actually the co-creator of Empire. 5'3" Danny Strong is one of Axe's big nemesis this season. He plays the head of another hedge fund that Axelrod's confidant, or former confidant, Wendy Rhodes, who of course happens to be the wife of Chuck Rhodes, which is played by Paul Giamatti, Maggie, the lovely and talented and intimidating Maggie Siff. She is considering working full time for Danny Strong, the nemesis, and it kind of boils up ahead over a great poker game, which they filmed, which was the last episode 3 in the second season. And of course, I'm a part-time poker player, what have you, a former full-time small stakes professional poker player. So of course, all this was ridiculously intriguing to me, and yeah, it was a good time. It was a really good showdown, and basically kind of came down to Bobby Axelrod's protege in training, a non-binary gendered person named Taylor, played by Asia Kate Dillon. And what's great about Taylor is that Taylor comes in as a bit of a prodigy in this role. As you can see, Asia Kate has a fairly gender neutral look, but the first time we're kind of introduced to Taylor, here's a good picture. Taylor walks in looking, very very nondescript, straight laced, wearing a tie, and Taylor says, my name is Taylor. My preferred pronouns are they, them, and theirs. And that's really sets a tone. Taylor's very no nonsense, straightforward, is kind of an outsider, and Taylor brings that type of worldview to their poker game, and I really think it's a breakthrough as far as as far as gender nonconforming roles, because not only does Taylor set the set the ground rules for how they want to be addressed, but also they're pretty badass. Taylor saves Axe money, instantly gains his respect, and is a pretty good reader at the poker player at the poker table. I actually tweeted how with this poker game that went down, I wouldn't say I would have been, I wouldn't say I would have been lost, but the play that Taylor makes is logical but also ballsy at the same time. So great job of Asia Kate Dillon and the people over at Billions. I mean, they're just crushing it this year. 3 episodes in, and I'm loving every second of it. I also caught the first episode of Feud, which is Ryan Murphy's latest, limited event series, and it's basically about the 1960s filming of Who Killed Baby Jane, I think it is, a horror film which starred two aging divas of their time, Joan Crawford and I almost called them by the actors' names, Joan Crawford and Betty Davis, played by Jessica Lange and Susan Sarandon. And I wasn't exactly sure what to expect, except that I figured it was going to be good. It's extremely well cast. It stars, two legends of the screen in Lange and Sarandon, and it's really interesting. Period. And we know I'm a sucker for historical fiction. It's really interesting period examination of ageism and sexism in Hollywood, which still, of course, would apply to today. And by the way, I'm taping this on Wednesday afternoon, March 8th, International Women's Day, and the U.S. is a day without women. So, big ups to all my women out there. I came from a woman. My mom's a woman. I support women every way I can. I will be wearing red when I do go out to the gym this evening. So just our thoughts are with you guys. Do what you got to do to bring more attention to gender equality and fighting for your rights. I'm with you all. So so Feud is an interesting series. Just saw the one episode. It seems to be following. It's on FX. It's following the kind of, I guess, the Taboo format, where Taboo was always like an hour and 20 minutes long. This isn't going to be just like an hour long. They're gonna give Ryan Murphy all the room to play with that he wants. So it's off to a pretty good start. And also, I think I alluded to this on the previous pod, but I finally saw Collateral Beauty, and I'm a little upset. This movie's actually pretty good. It got a bad rap. I think part of the issue and challenge of it is that it's impossible to market, because the central conceit is actually quite clever and plays upon our expectations of what we've seen as far as the trailers and the marketing. Look at that, 23 Metascore. That's just unfair. That's not accurate. I give it 3 reels. That's 3 out of 4 reels. I enjoyed it. It's good, and actually, it's not even. I mean, although the central character is Will Smith, there seems to be more life going on with Edward Norton and Kate Winslet and Michael Pena's characters. They play his partners at an advertising firm, and it's just I found it fairly delightful. A really clever central conceit. I mean, maybe the direction can be a little bit, cheesy at points, but I truly enjoyed it. I had a lot of my favorite actors in there: Keira Knightley, Naomi Harris, Helen Mirren, Pena, Winslet, Edward Norton. I mean, and Will Smith in a fairly understated role. So yeah, I recommend it. I kind of wish I'd seen it when it was out in theaters, but I saw it at home, and it was and it was a pleasant time at the movies, I must say. So that's kind of the 1,000-foot overview of what I'm watching. Oh, and of course, just to wrap it up real quick, last night we debuted with The Americans in their 5th season for a show based about Russian spies passing themselves off as Americans in 1980s Washington D.C. and carrying out all these espionage acts while fronting as, a traditional nuclear American family. I mean, I would almost say it's a little too on the nose given all of our paranoia around Russia these days and in America today. But it's a really good show. It's still kept all of its great elements of slow boil. We've invested 4 previous seasons with these characters, and apparently they've got this season plus one more season to go before they call it quits. And so the end game might, they might start wrapping up their long and somewhat disparate storylines, and it's just a pleasure. The American's just a pleasure. Matthew Rhys, Kerry Russell, just really excellent. Holly Taylor coming into her own as the teenage daughter, Paige. Paige looks like she's going to start to have to toughen up. Kerry Russell's Elizabeth is teaching Paige how to fight and defend herself. So this could get very interesting. And of course, there's always a mission. There's always a dual mission they go on, or a mission that requires both of them, both Elizabeth and Philip. And I tweeted openly. I was like, well, am I the only one concerned about what happens when Philip and Elizabeth go on these shared missions? Or am I the only one that's concerned about what happens if they get caught or die or something? What happens to Henry and Paige? Henry's the younger son, who I might add, in one season hiatus has grown like a foot and looks like a man. Very reminiscent of when we went away from Brandon from Game of Thrones for a year, and then it came back. So basically, we were like a year and some change away from Bran, and dude was like a totally different guy. Hashtag puberty. But it's kind of open tweeted, like, what happens to the kids if they get caught? Am I the only one who freaks out about this? I guess I am. Anyways, it's a very popular, highly well-rated series. I definitely recommend it, and that is what I'm watching. Yes. So let's get into the game. Just the shot list. We're fairly focused this week. All right, so here we are. We have a new talent pool this week, and actually, let's kind of go over some of the basics. Some of the basics of this week's shot pool, of this week's talent pool, as far as whom I'm looking for as far as value goes, and what might be some good bets. Now, obviously, the major domo in the talent pool this week is probably going to be Kong Skull Island. There's been a lot, I do mean a lot, of P&A, it's Princeton Advertising, aka marketing, for this title. It's well cast: Samuel L. Jackson, Tom Hiddleston, all that good stuff. Yep, let's not play that. The Metascore so far not very positive, but it's one of those movies that's going to be review proof. It's the movie I'm looking forward to seeing this weekend. Of course, I am seeing it in my beloved D-Box, so my seat can move and shake. I mean, look at this cast. Hiddleston. Well, Hiddleston's fine. I think Hollywood really wants Hiddleston to happen. Not sure why. That's why they gave him that ridiculous Golden Globe for The Night Manager. That limited series was just, that miniseries was just okay. It's got Hiddleston, Samuel L. Jackson, Brie Larson, John C. Reilly, in his furry bearded best as comic relief, John Goodman, Corey Hawkins, now heading up 24, Legacy. John Ortiz, very underrated. I mean, let's just give a shout out to John Ortiz real quick. This dude is just a pro's pro. Always like 4th or 5th lead. He's never leading his own stuff, but always brings something to his roles. In American Gangster, Fast and Furious. He was in freaking. This is where I first heard about John Ortiz. He was in Miami Vice, the movie, the remake, the one with Jamie Foxx and Colin Farrell, wildly underrated. But his character, I mean, and his character was, I think, was he Cuban or something, South American, something like that. A drug dealer, someone's stereotypical empty role, or it could have been empty role, but he was so compelling in it. I mean, you couldn't take your eyes. You can take your eyes off him. First time I'd really been exposed to him, and I was like, "Who is that cat?" His accent was so thick, and while I felt a little stereotypical, it was all filled with menace. And he says the line that stands out in my head was he's threatening somebody, but he's talking really casual about it, like, yes, let's go out to a movie and have a bite. And I just never forget it, how menacing he was and scary, and pitch perfect he was. He's great in that. He's in Silver Linings Playbook. He's just a pro's pro. So I'm looking forward to seeing. I mean, once again, he's like 8th build in this film, but I'm looking forward to seeing what he's going to do for us in this movie. There's more Jose Hierro in Miami Vice. It's awesome. That's just he's just a pro's pro. I really appreciate I really appreciate John Ortiz in. Can I get out of this loop? There we go. In Miami Vice. So John Ortiz, so it's really well cast. It's got a lot of good stuff going for it. I'm looking forward to it. And I think, I don't know. I guess that'll be our over-under for this week. I guess we'll figure out if it's going to do 60 million or more. I think it's going to do probably around 60, which most likely would put it, going heads up against Logan. It's also going to be on 3,800 plus screens. By the time the tally's done Thursday afternoon, it's probably be closer to 4,000 screens and 3,800. So it's going to have every opportunity to succeed. And we shall see, I guess. We shall see. So the major domo this weekend in the town pool is Kong Skull Island. I think also Logan will have a pretty strong hold this weekend. 88.5 million. I think it can do as much as maybe 50 million this weekend. And in looking at the talent pool, they are identically priced almost. Maybe you get a little more bang for your buck in your headliner with Tom Hiddleston at 19,000 versus Hugh Jackman at 19,500. But both Patrick Stewart and Brie Larson are 18,800 respectively in their respective movies. So I don't know. We may have to figure out something on the fly when we're constructing this call sheet. Let's see what else. Before I Fall took a big hit, so we're not looking for that. Logan. So those are at the top of the A-list part of what you'd want for this weekend, because they're going to be far and away the leaders. If you're looking for a little bit of value, let's go down to Get Out. If you're looking for some value, Daniel Kaluuya, maybe, and Allison Williams at 12,700 and 13,000 respectively as your headliners for Get Out could still probably bring you some value. Get Out had this hold was pretty impressive. Get Out had only dropped 15%, which might be a second week record for a horror flick in its second weekend. And as I mentioned in the previous podcast, where it was like the Get Out challenge. People are ready for this movie, man. People are definitely ready for this movie. Made 84 million already this weekend, or through last weekend, and it only cost 4.5 million to make. Even if you throw a good 20 million on P&A on that sucker, and you account for the 55% split of the box office between the studio and distributors. These guys are still cleaning up. These guys are still, laughing all the way to the bank. So congratulations to Get Out. People seem to really be feeling this movie. It was a good time at the movies. I give it 4 reels. Scary with really sharp, incisive social commentary. Prepare yourself for a bunch of knockoffs trying to come in the next 2 or 3 years, trying to duplicate that success. Good luck with that. So Get Out might be a source of value for you this weekend if you're trying to figure out how to do more outside of the two heavyweights. As far as platform release goes, it might be time for you to finally embrace a United Kingdom. I can't say for certain it's going to expand to 400 screens. It's been steadily, slowly, rolling out in platform release category, and I would figure, if it didn't make the big jump last week, I think it actually stayed static at 271 screens last week. Then this might be the weekend that it's going to add, 100 or so more screens. I might actually double check MoviePhone to get an idea to see if there's more locations they're offering a United Kingdom. In the platform release category, that seems to be at the top end. Also, but let's us not forget the focused foreign film, the 3 Fs, the focused foreign film, and by that I mean Badrinath Ki Dulhania. It's a newcomer this week. It's pretty cheap. It's only on 150 screens, but we know from our experience in this game that when a focused foreign film, or when a foreign film comes focused on a community or segment of ethnic America, like in this instance, Indian Americans, it tends to do pretty damn well. And so, and actually it brings me to something I want to discuss with you, some basic strategy in some of these call sheets. And actually, those are pretty much like the highlights for what I'm looking for this weekend as far as the talent pool goes. I mean, you have a lot of holdovers that really will only figure in around the margins. If you're looking for for something to invest in limited release, you might go Moonlight, only because it'll probably be on about 1,200 to 1,500 screens. La La Land might still have some juice, and same as Hidden Figures, but for the most part, you're in limited release, you're probably gonna go with Moonlight, because it still might have that Oscar sheen or buzz in limited release. So let's go to some call sheet dynamics. Call sheet, I would say, fundamentals, basically. And I'm going to take one of my call sheets. I do placeholder call sheets when I create these contests, and so I'm gonna delete one. We're just going to start one from scratch and go over just some basic strategy that I like to employ when I'm trying to figure out, when I'm constructing my call sheet to give it a chance at call sheet of the week. All right, so we deleted the one for background talent, so we're going to do a new one. I'm going to draft a call sheet. So you only have 100,000 to spread amongst 10 actors. You have to have 10 actors, no more, no less. You have to have one actor from each of the 3 release types: platform, limited, and wide release. And generally on weekends like this, where there is going to be a big opener and a strong holdover, you probably want some exposure to both. You probably want a little bit more of the new opener, because they're probably going to have $10 to $15 million more than the holdover. But you still may want to have some exposure to the holdover if you can't afford too much of the new opener. So what I'm thinking is, it's what we call stars and scrubs strategy, and stars being the really expensive, high performing movies and actors from those movies, and then the scrubs, quote unquote, the scrubs being the cheaper but more value laden actors from movies. And so in this example, for our stars, we're going to start with Kong Skull Island. All right, and we are going to get our headliners. Now, for those new to the game, headliners are very important. Why are headliners important? Because you get a 40% bonus for headliner points. So to review real quick, as the scoring system goes, and actually we'll go to the rules real quick. Here we go, how to play. As the scoring system goes, you get 1 point per 1 million in wide release. So if a movie makes 100 million at the box office, you get 100 points. Now headliners, they get a 40% bonus. So if Kong Skull Island makes 100, it grosses 100 million at the box office this weekend, then your Tom Hiddleston and Brie Larson would get 140 points, versus a John Goodman would just get 100 points, who, as John Goodman is not a headliner and Brie Larson and Tom Hiddleston are. So just to recap the scoring, it's 1 point per 1 million in box office for wide release, and then 1 point per 500,000 in limited release, And in platform release, it's 1 point per 100,000. And of course, the minimum score for anything is at least 1 point here. So there's no way you can have a film that gives you 0 points. So you don't have to worry about that. All right. And also, if you need a refresher on the rules, just go to the left-hand side. If you're playing the desktop game, click the rules, and we have the how to draft a call sheet graphic for you. And then scroll down, you can see the game rules right there. All right. So we're going back to our call sheet and Kong Skull Island, which we think will be heavyweight at the box office this weekend. And so we're going to get our 2 headliners to get that 40% bonus. All right, so we're going to lock those 2 in. We got Hiddleston and Brie Larson. Kind of expensive, almost 40 grand between the 2 of them. And then we're going to scroll down. We're going to get the cheapest of the available actors here. All right. So that's Jason Mitchell, 18,000. Okay. And so now we're going to want to take a look at our call sheet in progress. So now we're at 55,800, but yet we still have 7 slots to go. So that's 44,200 with 7 slots to go, which averages out to about 6,300 per slot. It's not looking too great for us. But here's where I think we're going to diverge just a little bit, because Logan did such a good job at the box office last weekend, and I think could still have a hold in the $50 million range just based off word of mouth. I'm going to swap out Jason Mitchell for headliner in Logan. Patrick Stewart, the cheaper of the 2 headliners in Logan, 18,800. So that way, let's say Kong does 60 million at the box office, right? 60 million. So 60 times 1.4 for the 40% bonus would be 84, right? Okay, so that's awesome. So that'd be 84 points times 2 for Brie Larson and Hiddleston. But what if Logan does? Let's say Logan does 50 million at the box office. Now, if I get Patrick Stewart as a headliner at 18,800, but 800 more than getting a 3rd actor, a non-headline actor from Kong Skull Island, then actually the 40% bonus on 50 million for Patrick Stewart would give us 70 points. So we pick up 6 points, although it costs about 800 more in grabbing Patrick Stewart from Logan versus a 3rd actor from Kong. So that's what I'm kind of banking on. I'm thinking this might be the most the most value is getting another headliner from what's most likely going to be 2nd this weekend, but still high performing in Logan. All right, so now we're down to 56,600, which we divide by 7 gives us, I'm sorry, 43,400, which we divide by 7 gives us about 6,200 per film for 7 slots. So now we got to be real. We got to be real careful with this stuff. So I was hoping that during the taping of this broadcast, we might get the predictions from Box Office Pro, but they're not out yet. So we're still kind of going in the dark a little bit. So we'll just kind of go on feel for this. So now salary is going to be paramount for us. Salary is paramount. So let's arrange the talent pool by salary, lowest to highest. There we go. So it looks like the cheapest options available these days, so 5,000 is the minimum salary for any actor in this game. And it looks like, oh, there we go, a United Kingdom. It's still in the 5,000 range. It's a platform release, so they'll satisfy that requirement. Okay, you know what? Let's just do that. Let's just load up on a United Kingdom. Get all the 5,000s we can handle. All right, now we need 1 limited release. And we have 13,400 left with 1 slot left. We need 1 limited release. And if we go back to my spreadsheet, and that's the advantage of, I mean, I made this game, I understand. I've got the advantage of the spreadsheet. You all do not, but while we're all here together just for time, I think I don't know, y'all. I think it might be Moonlight. And actually, you know what? And actually, let's do this. A United Kingdom. I do believe in a United Kingdom. Make no mistake about it. But I also want exposure to the Indian flick. I'm not exactly sure which will do better because a United Kingdom is on double the amount of screens, but I want some exposure to the Indian flick. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a headliner stack from the Indian flick, and sorry, the Indian flick is known as Badranath Ki Duhania. I'm sure I'm butchering the pronunciation. So to get some exposure to the Indian flick, I'm going to get a headliner stack from that. They're 5,800 each, so still pretty affordable. And so there we go. We still have 80, and so we still have about 11,000 left over. Okay, cool. So let's get. Oh man, I guess we'll do Moonlight. It's on more screens. Nothing in the limited release category this week is screaming for my attention. Where is Moonlight? Come on. Let's just refresh this. If you ever have any issue when you're in the middle of constructing your call sheet or something doesn't appear, something just seems a little bit off, just give a good refresh the browser. There we go. And all your problems will be solved. All right, so we'll take Naomi Harris, the cheaper of the two Moonlight headliners, and now we have 5,400 left over. So with this extra money, I wonder if we can squeeze in. Let's say, I wonder if we can squeeze in another. No, 10,400. No, we really can't. I was trying to see if we could squeeze in one more Logan or a Kong Skull Island. What is going to be? Oh, the Shack. Almost forgot about our guys at the Shack. And here's Octavia Spencer, 10,000. Yeah, straight up on the Shack. The Shack had a pretty good opening weekend last weekend, 16 million. It's probably going to see a drop of about 40%. So maybe it gets you another 10 points. So let's shoehorn the Shack in here. And that is a pretty good looking call sheet. We only have 400 left over. Just to recap, we've got headliner stack from Kong Skull Island. We've got Patrick Stewart from Logan as a headliner. We've got a 4-pack from a United Kingdom. And actually, you know what? I think we can do even better than that. Can we get, let's swap out Nicholas Lyndhurst at $5,000, bought bargain basement of a United Kingdom. And let's get Rosamund Pike, the bargain, the cheaper of the two headliners in a United Kingdom, and boom, 100,000 straight up. We get a little headliner exposure to a United Kingdom. We've got so we got 1, 2, 3. We have 1, 2, 3. We have a 3-pack from the United Kingdom. We've got a headliner stack from Badranath Ki Duhania. So we've got exposure to that, and both of them as headliner status. And then we've got our obligatory limited release headliner, Naomi Harris from Moonlight. And we got Octavia Spencer from the Shack. I love this call sheet. I think this call sheet stands a really good chance. I think this is a blueprint for success. You can fade it at your own peril, but I like it. And there we go. So we just click submit. And there we go. We are in the game. So there you have it, everybody. Appreciate your support as always. We are looking to let's fill the sucker up this week. I really do want to expand the payouts, expand the player pool some. So tell a friend to tell a friend. It's free to play. Send them to cinemadraft.co. That is cinemadraft.co, and sign up. Just to remind you, we have Theater Lock at Thursday, 6:00 p.m. Pacific time. That's when we lock in the theater counts and the release types for these films as the screen counts do fluctuate during the week. And the game runs 4 hours thereafter at 10 p.m. Pacific time on Thursday evening. Just a reminder that that this is daylight savings time this weekend on Sunday. Unfortunately, I created these tournaments, these contests before recognizing that it's daylight savings time. So once again, I will most likely be hand scoring the results on Monday afternoon. So it might take some time. Might not be until 5 or 6 p.m. to get Pacific time to get the results to you. So just bear with me as I'm going through each one of your call sheets individually to make sure we have the most accurate points and counts for points and scores for the Cinema Draft games. I really do appreciate you guys listening. I very much appreciate all of you who watched. And once again, this weekend, good luck on your call sheets and go see a movie or something.